All right, everyone, it's Dokkan time again, and today's how to build is going to be for the STR Hit and God Goku. This is a 4-year-old unit that is finally getting their EZA. The good news I can say about this unit is that you don't really have to change their kit, probably. Most people probably went in and just kind of gave them additionals or crit, and I think, honestly, it's just kind of your choice if you want to, like, stick with that. Because I don't think there's a problem with it. I think there's very much a large viability to just kind of go full on crit even with them. That being said, I don't feel like this is like the most amazing damage dealer in the game. Especially for like a super base team or even an extreme base team. I'm still spoiled by the LR EZA Tech Broly and how much damage he can output, and this guy just doesn't output near the same level. So he's a good damage dealer. He's kind of tanky-ish, and he's a perfect link partner for Hit, which, you know, is what many consider to be the best TUR in the game currently at the as far as, you know, it being May. So take that as you will. Do I think this unit needs dupes? Yeah, I think this unit needs dupes. And I think that's probably about it. So we're going to go over the builds after we go through the breakdown and the defense. So let's just kind of jump right on into it. So as far as 200% options go, this unit, I feel, doesn't have too many actual options. Yes, he can go onto Vegeta's team here. Yes, he can go onto Goku's team. Yes, he can go onto Cell's team. And yes, he can even go onto AGL Jiren's team. But honestly, his one true home is 100% going to be just on Hit's team, primarily. He definitely can go on to Cell or Jiren's team. Link-wise, he's not going to do much on Cell's team, but at least he'll have Domain backing him up. And then Link-wise, he actually links very well with Jiren as well. And then you could just honestly chuck them onto as a floating position over on either the Evolution Blue STR unit or on Tech UI's team, and I think that would be perfectly fine. He's just kind of a nice throw onto any of these teams, really, but only as a floater. I'm not 100% sure you'd really want to keep them on rotation. It gets a little complicated, but let's just kind of keep Mozoing down here. So after EZing, they are now a Key +4 170 lead for Accelerated Battle and Universal Survival Saga. Most people probably know by this point, I don't accept 170 anymore, personally, as a creator and player. I try to steer away 100% from 170s. 170 leads is, in my opinion, not good enough for the current meta of the game. Is it challenging, and can it still be fun to run those teams? Yes, of course. But I don't feel like it's viable, in my personal opinion. Moving on down here to the super attacks. So on the 18 key, you actually are going to now be greatly raising attack and defense for 4 turns specifically and have a 70% chance to stun. And then on 12 key, you'll have a greatly raised attack and defense just for the turn with still a 70% chance to stun. So this unit stuns like crazy. So if you need a stunning unit, this is definitely the one to be throwing on there. The big thing to keep note of is the 18 key. You really want to get that 18 key because you're going to get a huge amount of extra defense onto the next turn, because it's for 4 turns. So even if you float this unit, by the time they come back around, they're actually going to be having an extra chunk of damage and defense. So make sure that you always get their super attack off, or else their defense and their damage is going to be lacking quite a bit on the next time they show up. As far as their kit goes, they have Key +5 and attack and defense at 200%. They have damage reduction at 20%. Their attacks are guaranteed to hit. They launch an additional attack that has a 70% chance of being a super. They have a 50% chance to dodge. And when HP is 67% or more, damage reduction rate at 10%. And when attacking, attack and defense is 67%. They disable the enemy's guard. And as the first attacker in a turn, Key +6 and attack and defense of 160. And they get a chance of evading enemy's attack and damage reduction rate of 16%. What this means is that at pretty much all points of time, they have a 66% chance to be dodging, and they have 36%, 36 or 46 damage reduction as long as they're in slot 1 or 2. If you're in slot 3, you will not have that extra dodge or the extra damage reduction. So do keep that in mind, that it is a little bit of a trade-off if you do not have them in slot 1 or 2. Now, for every attack received in slot 1 or slot 2, you'll get an attack plus 20% up to 100%. Now, this should be a permanent thing, so as long as they just get hit or evade in slot 1 or 2 4 times in total, this should just go up to 100% and be fully built up, and you're good to go. It doesn't matter what slot they're in. As the third attacker in a turn, key plus 7 and attack plus 170%, and then launches an additional super and interrupts the enemy's attack. This is kind of nice to interrupt the enemy's attack, especially if slot 3 only has like 1 attack coming at you and you know it's a super. That'd be a really nice kind of cutoff thing. The free additional super is nice, and it does matter quite a bit for them defense-wise. And then for every attack performed as a third attacker in a turn, they'll get defense plus 20% up to 100%. Once again, this has the infinity marker here, so it should technically speaking be a permanent buff, so long as they actually get those attacks going off. The only thing I do not like about okay, it's not the only thing, but the major thing I hate about this unit is this right here, is this third slot thing. This is a unit that you don't necessarily want to be in slot 3 because you want that extra damage reduction and dodge chance in slot 1 or 2. This is a slot 2 unit that wants and kind of needs to be floated in order to get to an optimal amount of defense. If you don't have this defense up by the time you hit the end phase of, like, say, the Goku Vegeta Red Zone stories, you could be hurting quite a bit, especially in those Jiren fights. You could be hurting quite a lot. Without this 100% right here, you're not tanking a 4 or 5 mil super. You're not. You will die. It's the same thing as not being in slot 2. If you're not in slot 1 or 2, along with having this defense buff, you're not surviving those big, huge super attacks. It's just not going to happen. We'll get into that in the defense numbers, but this is a very kind of like, they have to be floated first and foremost. So honestly, that's the one thing I don't like about this unit. Is like, they need to build up by doing attacks. They need to receive attacks in specific slots. So their damage and their defense are going to be varying consistently throughout the fight, unless you have like perfect point of, like, you start on turn 1, you put them in slot 3, and they quad attack. The only thing that is kind of like a saving grace for being in slot 3 and floating is for every attack performed as a third attacker in a turn. So it doesn't mean it has to be a super. It just needs to be an attack. So even if the hidden potential procs and it's not a super and it's just a normal, that's fine. I don't care, as long as they get those 4 attacks off. But most of the time, I don't feel like people are going to get this all the way up. I think they're going to get like defense at 40 or 60%. And then by the time they float them off again, they either won't even get to attack, or they'll be floated off again and they won't appear till turn 7. And the fight will either be over or in the ending phases, and they still will not have actually, built up their attack here. And not building up that attack makes them pretty weak too. Like, they really do need to build up. They do need to build up. They really do. In the first or second slot. So there's going to be a lot of times where people are going to be using this unit, and because you floated them for that defense, they're not going to get this attack up. Because you keep them in first or second slot, you're not going to get this defense up in the third slot. So you really got to pick or choose how you're going to use this unit. You got to plan it out. You got to keep in mind of what you stacked and what hasn't stacked. And it's a little bit, honestly, it's a little annoying that you got to like micromanage this unit's passive to get them at the optimal percentage. Now, moving on from that, they do have an active skill. This active skill just gives them attack and defense of 13%. And it can be activated after performing 3 or more super attacks in battle if HP is 76% or less. So there could be it could very likely happen. Oh, wait. Can be performed after performing 3 or more super attacks in battle. Okay, no. So you have to perform 3 attacks and be below 76% HP. And if you're below 76% HP, you also need to keep in mind that you'll be probably somewhere below this damage reduction rate right here. So do keep that in mind. If you can use their active, you might want to look at the percentage that your HP is at and make sure it's not below 67, so you still have that 10% damage reduction. This right here is something of what can kill a run, probably. If you're below 67% HP, you quad super, but you lost freaking 10% damage reduction, and it's like a freaking 5.5 million super, you might be dead. It might not even matter that you quad supered. So it's just something to keep in mind. This unit is very finicky and needs to have like all of the ducks lined up in a row in order for them to be very optimally good. But anyways, Link skill wise, they have Tournament Power, Experienced Fighters, Cold Judgment, Infighter, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. Not the best set of links to have. It's definitely good links. Experienced Fighters, great link. Cold Judgment, good link. Shocking Speed, good link. Obviously, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. But having this all as a link set is kind of, you know, you don't have too many options to choose from, especially when you're only on 5 categories, being Accelerated Battle, Universal Survival Saga, Joined Forces, Legendary Existence, and Tournament Participants. Mind you, Accelerated Battle and Tournament Participants is thriving at the moment. But the best link partners are obviously going to just be hit units. They're going to be Joined Forces units. But, I mean, the Int Goku Frieza unit LR is definitely one of the best link partners, along with the new Int Golden Week hit is going to be one of his best link partners. And then, of course, either of the Tech or AGL Jirans will be very good link partners as well. Outside of that, you're more than likely just never going to see these units paired up. I mean, PyCon has good links with him, but he's only on tournament participants. So more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to be rocking these units, some of these units together on separate teams, but you're only going to be under 170 on a couple of the partners, or they won't be under 200, or one will be under 200 and not under 200. So it's just a little rough going with that. So basically the kit is a little finicky. It's a little finicky, but it's still good. You know, once you get all the ducks lined up, you know, you get fully built up, and then you get them settled next to Hit or Jiren, and you're pretty much good to go. So, with all of that being said, let's just kind of go move on to the defense. Compliments of Harvard on here on defense-wise. Now, like I said, there's a lot of differences between his slot positioning and being fully built up. It's quite a bit to take in. So, let's just start at the top. You know, without any support and no build-up, you know, you're only getting like maybe a million defense, 1.2. It's not a lot. But once you're specifically in slot 1 or slot 2, and you get a double super, you can get up to 1.5 million defense. If you're in slot 3, you get a double super, you can get up to 1.2 only. Like I said, you have more defense ability in slot 2. And then if you get to full build up, and by full build up, I mean you went into slot 3 and you performed 4 attacks in slot 3 specifically. And then they come back around onto rotation and they're in slot 2. That's what this means. So at that point, on a double super, you'd be at 2.4 million. And then if you have a stack from the previous turn at 18 key, then on a double super, you can get up to 3 million defense. If you by chance magically triple super in slot 1 or 2, you can get up to 3.6 million defense if you triple super. And then, of course, with 40% support, you can get up to, on a double super, at 3.2 million defense. Now, keep in mind, Halvard messed up on this, and he did mention that he did not put in the active skill. With the active skill, it's about a 500k difference, roughly, that you'll be at. So, with one stack effect, in slot 2, fully built up defense-wise, so you performed 4 attacks in slot 3 after being floated, and you have that one stack from an 18 key, then you should be somewhere around on a double super. You should be somewhere around the 3.5, maybe 3.6 marker. And then if you magically triple super, you're definitely above the 4 million. And if you have 40% support as well, or maybe a domain, you could definitely be above the 4 million super. I just do really have to emphasize that you really need all the ducks lined up, or you just got to hope they dodge. It's really, really how it is. This unit's not going to struggle defensively wise, outside of literally the hardest hitting fights. Like, they're going to tank normals. They're going to tank a majority of the supers that you're going to fight, aside from the Goku Vegeta story. You know, like 5 million damaging supers, 6 million damaging supers. And obviously, this is not a unit you take into Festival Battle. So just keep all of that in mind as you're using this unit. It's just a nice unit to tag onto Hit's team on a normal kind of red zone, blue zone hard fight. And as long as they are fully built up defensively with a proper link partner, proper support, proper leader, then you should be kind of fine aside from the AGL Jaren. AGL Jaren is worst matchup for this guy. So with all of that being said, I want to get started on to builds. So builds, 55% on the right hand side of the screen, as you can see at the top right hand here, is an STR unit. So he's going to start off with level 5 crit. I would highly suggest, as if you only have him at 55%, just give him a silver crit orb and a bronze crit orb. Get him up to 12 crit with equipment. And then moving on from the 55% into one dupes. I would once again just kind of emphasize into crit, because this unit does do good damage. And I'm not going to link it, but go ahead, go look at Dokkan World. Look at other YouTubers if you so wish to. But their damage is pretty nice. It can get pretty decent, especially if you throw them onto a team where you have like Gogeta activing, and you can get them into really crazy good tech EZA Broly standards. So, I mean, we're talking like 50, 60 million supers with Gogeta active. And without the Gogeta active, you're probably looking at like maybe 40 million supers. So, I mean, really fully built up, you want that crit. You do. You want that damage. Otherwise, there's not much reason to go into the other things. I think they really want the damage because that's really what they're here for. They got 66% chance to dodge in slot 2. They have a pretty reliable amount of additionals built in, and I don't think the hidden potential is going to skew those numbers too much. I really do feel like crit is the only thing that can really make a big difference in the performance and how this unit feels. But moving on from one dupe into double dupe plus, I would probably just highly suggest you go up to a level 17 into your crit naturally without equipment, and then give him a level 5 gold, or you can even make it a silver, whichever one you have access to, of course. Give him a crit level 5 orb. That will punch him up to 22. A 22 crit is a 44% chance to crit. It's not a 50%, but it's still pretty good chance to crit, especially when this unit can triple super in a turn. And then put the remainder of your points is honestly entirely up to you. You can either put the remainder into additional, or you can put the remainder into dodge. Personally, I kind of want to put it into additional, personally. But I can understand a lot of people are probably going to want to go for dodge, and that's completely reasonable. In the case of people that are going for dodge, please do replace one of these level 5 orbs with the dodge orbs. That's entirely up to you. So, but yeah, whichever one you decide to go to, you should have up to a level 9 as long as you only gave this unit up to level 17 crit naturally without equipment. And then you should have enough to be pumping them up to level 9 to 14 onto additional or dodge. Remember, everyone, dodge chance is only a level 1 in the hidden potential. So that means only 14% chance to dodge from the hidden potential, or it's a 28% chance to additional from the hidden potential. There's a very big difference between additional and crit and additional and dodge, just because of how they do that. So, this is probably controversial and you don't have to choose to do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give them an attack orb because I want to treat this unit as a damage dealer. A damage dealer that is a good link partner with Hit and a couple other good units. And I just really want to take them to do some nice damage. They're not going to do damage right away, but once I get them built up, then they're going to be doing some good damage. So I'm going to be treating them as kind of like not necessarily a nuke, but definitely a end game kind of damage dealing unit. So I'm going to give them an attack orb, but I would not blame you whatsoever if you wanted to just give them an itty bitty bit more crit or dodge or additional, whichever you're preferring. As per usual, when you're doing these builds for units, if you have the ability to change them, I would highly suggest you do not give him any equipment. Take them into fights, see how they feel, and see what you feel like they're missing. If you feel like this unit needs to crit more, give them more crit from the equipment. If you feel like they need more additionals, give them more additional. If you feel like they're not doing enough damage, give them more attack orb. You know, remember, this is a single player game at the end of the day. You choose how you think this unit should be built and what you think the unit is missing. But anyways, let's move on from the build suggestions. And we're going to go ahead and go take a look at the roll tips. Now, as far as the roll tips go, I do feel like this unit needs to just be a damage dealer. It's either that or he's just a straight up link battery to hit. And I do believe that. It's one of the two. But as far as the leader goes, he can go onto STR Evolution, Vegeta Blues, team, Tech UIs, STR Cell, or AGL Jiren's team. And then his best team is going to be on Hits, Int, Golden Week Hits team. And then his best partner is going to be, of course, the Int Golden Week Hit, AGL Jiren, or exchanged Frieza Goku LR. And so once you exchange into Goku, that's when he's a good partner. Mostly because this unit still kind of wants a slot 1 unit to be defensive, and that unit can be decent in slot 1. But anyways, as far as the best slot position goes for this unit, they definitely are a slot 2 unit based on how their kit works. But in order to get them fully built up defensively, they do need to go into slot 3. And I really cannot emphasize that enough. They need to at the beginning. As soon as you can get them built up in slot 3, just do it. I would just do it. Let them float around. If you're running them on hits team, you should have 2 hits to be combining them with anyways, or linking them up with. So it shouldn't really matter too much on floating this unit. It really shouldn't matter too much. So, but either way, once you get them fully built up in slot 3, their home is in slot 2. They can go in slot 1 if you're feeling ballsy. If you're feeling brave. But they definitely are a slot 2 unit through and through. So, I think that's going to be it. Yeah, I think that's about it for the video. I didn't want to spend too much time on these guys. I think they're a fun unit. I think it's a fun unit to be rocking. Unfortunately, there's just not many teams to be rocking them under. I just really wish they had more categories to be going under other teams. Though, honestly, because of their lack of link partners, it's really hard to really throw them onto any other teams. You know, regardless of categories, there's just not very many units you're going to be linking up very well with to be really seeing this unit at their best. And the teams that they are on are where they should be anyways. So anyways, guys, let me know what teams and what build you ended up going with the God Goku and Hit LR. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day and a good night.